Talking cattle now as we wrap up our popular series today with Dr. Dave Lalman talking about just how much it takes to raise a cow. Here's SUNUP's Curtis Hare with Dr. Lalman.
We're joined now by Dr. Dave Lalman, and we're wrapping up his series on how much it costs to raise a cow. And Dave, over the past few weeks, we've talked about the historical, price changes, from the past like 16 years. We've talked nutrition and how that impacts things. But EPDs are also something, long-term that producers can think about of how to, measure cost cutting.
Yeah, I mean, the genetic potential of the cow herd comes through the sires that are purchased, or maybe the semen that's purchased and used through artificial insemination and so on. And that, so long-term controlling cow cost really is, that's your opportunity to influence that over time.
And there's a lot of research too. We have a lot of research applications out here that's been telling you a lot. And there's some things that you have some really interesting findings. And a lot of cattle producers know that if you have two cows, two heifers, they're going to be eating maybe the same thing, but gaining in different, one's gaining a lot and one's gaining nothing.
Every contemporary group of either heifers or cows that we test, and we've talked about this on SUNUP in the past, but every contemporary group we test, we find big differences in how much they'll eat. In a cow, 20 to 40 pounds. Mm-hmm. Some cows eating 20, some eating 40. Heifers, maybe 12 pounds up to 25 pounds of difference. So yeah, that is, and then as you mentioned, also tremendous difference in their ability to perform. In other words, if we're thinking about a replacement heifer, perform just means weight gain on a strict forage diet with mineral, which is how we are testing our cattle here.
So talk a little bit about some of the findings that you have, and you actually have an interesting graphic that you can kind of show just the differences of what could happen in an operation.
Yeah, we'll share a couple of different ones, but the one that is really exciting to me and makes that point very clearly. In 2024, we tested a contemporary group of heifers, and we had on the y-axis in this graph, you've got average daily gain. Again, nothing but hay and mineral. Okay, and on the x-axis, or the bottom axis there, is their feed intake. And these two heifers that we're going to point out have radical differences in their weight gain. One heifer is gaining 1.4 pounds a day, one heifer is losing weight. And the incredible thing is that over that nearly 90-day experimental period, those heifers are eating almost exactly the same amount on average. So tremendous opportunity there. It's just one example, but tremendous variation in their ability to perform on that strict forage diet, which is where a cow is expected to make her living. Secondly, in this other graph, there's another thing to point out, and that is the same setup here. We've got average daily gain on the y-axis, we've got intake on the x-axis. In every contemporary group, there's this set of heifers at the bottom that are just basically telling us that they have no business becoming a cow because they cannot perform on a strict forage diet.
And a lot of that just goes back to genetics, right?
Well, we think so. We think so, and we're trying to get to the point where we can find those cattle more practically, because the producer's not going to be able to do this kind of research that we are doing.
And there are a lot of resources available in regards to EPDs. Dr. Johnson has spent many a cow-calf corners talking about EPDs, right?
Oh yeah, and our data also points out that those EPDs are working pretty well. We think the combination of that dry matter intake EPD and the mature cow weight EPD in combination is a powerful tool to control cow costs over time.
Alrighty, thanks Dave. Dr. Dave Lalman, OSU Extension Beef Cattle Specialist here at Oklahoma State University.